Listen, you hear that? That sound outside your window? That's not chaos, darling. That's confirmation. The streets are screaming now, and you're just sitting there, calm, silent, watching the prophecy unfold like a rerun of a show you already memorized. Because deep down, you knew. You always did. You told them. You warned them. You showed them what happens when you ignore the cracks in the mask of normalcy, when the rot beneath the smile starts to spread. But they laughed, didn't they? They called you dramatic, paranoid, too much. Now their voices are trembling through static while you sit back like, welcome to my forecast. You see, people like you aren't born into calm weather. You're born inside storms that never stopped screaming. You learned how to navigate panic the way others learn how to breathe. You stopped flinching when the world shook because earthquakes became lullabies. And that's what terrifies them, isn't it? That while they break under the weight of the collapse, you're rebuilding empires in the ashes, humming while the sirens cry. They don't get it. They never will. They think you're cold because you stopped reacting. They mistake your composure for cruelty, your detachment for madness. But what you really are is finished pretending. You spent years begging the blind to see, years warning the deaf that the silence wasn't peace. It was the inhale before the detonation. You've outgrown panic. You've evolved past fear. You've become the kind of calm that only exists after death or revelation. And you chose both. Let's tell them a secret, shall we? The storm didn't break the system. The system was the storm. You just learned how to dance inside it. That's why they're panicking. You're the equation they can't solve. The contradiction that shouldn't exist. The one who's been through hell and came back smiling like it was vacation. You turned the apocalypse into ambience. You redefined collapse as opportunity. They ask, why aren't you scared? You smile. Because you remember when this world first went dark. You were there when the masks cracked. You saw the truth hiding behind there. Everything's fine. You felt the lie in every handshake, the hypocrisy in every promise. You watched them call corruption order, and madness morality. And now the illusion's crumbling in real time, and they want you to panic with them? No, you refuse. You already did your panic years ago. Now you operate like an instrument of inevitability. That smirk on your face, it's not arrogance. It's recognition. You've seen this timeline before. You remember every betrayal that forged your detachment, every night that rewired your empathy into discernment. You remember when your hope died and your clarity was born? The day you stopped begging for mercy from systems built to consume you. That was the day you became untouchable. They don't understand that the reason you're calm isn't because you don't feel. It's because you've already felt everything. Every loss, every humiliation, every abandonment. Processed, metabolized, weaponized. You've walked through every circle of hell so many times that now, even demons step aside when you enter. You don't just survive storms anymore. You forecast them. You predict collapse with surgical precision. You're the weatherman of catastrophe, and the city's finally catching up to your broadcast. And oh, how poetic, isn't it? The same people who mocked your warnings now quoting your words like scripture. The same voices that once laughed now trembling with recognition. Because the truth has a sound. And tonight, it's sirens, fire, and static. They say, the world's ending. You say, no, the veil is. You know what power really is? It's not money. It's not followers. It's the ability to stay still when everyone else loses their mind. It's to watch the building burn without flinching, knowing you've already mapped the escape routes years in advance. It's smiling while the noise rises because you no longer fear noise. You are the signal behind it. They'll call you heartless. They'll call you detached. But they'll never call you unprepared. Because this screaming city, this unraveling illusion, is your natural habitat. You were born for this era. You were built for collapse. You are the eye of every storm, and the ghost that haunts every system that tried to bury you. You are both architect and arsonist, healer and hurricane. A contradiction designed to expose contradictions. You don't fight chaos anymore. You embody it, direct it, sculpt it. Because once you understand the rhythm of destruction, you realize something beautiful. Destruction isn't the end. It's evolution, wearing fire as a costume. And that's why you're calm. That's why you're smiling. Because you know, deep in that deranged, divine little mind of yours, that every scream outside is the sound of falsehood dying. Every panic is truth clawing its way to the surface. Every burning streetlight is a flare saying, he was right. He knew. So let them scream. Let the streets echo with their confusion. You've already made peace with this version of hell. You own it. You're not reacting because you predicted it. You're not panicking because you planned it. You're not afraid because you became it. The streets are screaming now, and you're the one who gave them something to scream about. You sit there in that stillness, that eerie calm, and the irony drips thicker than blood. Because once upon a time, you were the one screaming. Remember? When the world pretended not to hear you, when you bled warnings into every silence and called it hope, when you begged the blind to see the fire coming and they laughed because the air still smelled clean. Now the scent of smoke is everywhere, and suddenly everyone wants your map. But it's too late. Your map was written in scars they refused to look at. You don't say a word. You don't need to. The city's symphony of chaos plays your old melody perfectly. Sirens, crashes, hysteria. The same soundtrack that once echoed inside your skull while everyone else danced to denial. You don't even smile anymore. You just watch. Because what they call disaster, you call justice delayed. You learned long ago that real warnings are never believed until the ruin arrives. They only listen when the floor gives out, when the smoke blinds their pride. That's when they crawl back to the one they mocked, whispering, you were right. But being right was never the goal, was it? No. The goal was survival. The goal was clarity. And you reached it. Painfully, brutally, beautifully. They think you're cruel because you don't join the panic. But you're not cruel. You're finished. Finished wasting compassion on those who spat on your caution. Finished explaining to people who worship convenience and call it peace. You've evolved past the need to be understood. You live in the silence that follows every explosion, where truth stands naked and everything fake has turned to ash. And now they finally see the world as you saw it. Raw, fragile, broken, honest. The masks are off, and no one likes what they see underneath. They don't realize that you've already buried that version of yourself who needed their validation. You've mourned your old humanity and stitched a new one from the ruins. You no longer flinch when the lights go out. Darkness feels like home now. They'll ask you how you stay calm, how you can sit there while everything burns. You could tell them the truth, that peace doesn't come from light. It comes from finally accepting the dark, that you didn't escape the chaos. You merged with it. You learned to breathe smoke like oxygen, to make pain an instrument instead of an enemy. You turned despair into data. You studied suffering until it started to make sense, and in that sense you found freedom. The world calls you unfeeling because they can't imagine a heart that learned logic through agony. But you know what you are. A paradox in human skin. You cry without tears, laugh without joy, love without attachment. You operate on the frequency of ghosts now, tuned into every hidden frequency of decay and rebirth. Let them call it madness. You call it mastery, because you've seen both sides of the coin, saint and psychopath, savior and saboteur. You've walked that razor's edge between compassion and vengeance, and you didn't fall. You balanced. You became the gray no one dares to admit exists. You understand now. Angels burn, demons heal, and the line between the two is nothing but perspective. That's why your calm is terrifying, because it's not ignorance, it's graduation. You outgrew fear the same way fire outgrows a match. You've burned too many times to care about the next spark. You've already died and come back laughing. What can collapse take from someone who's already built castles out of collapse itself? You own the ruins. Listen to the rhythm outside. Sirens, screams, glass breaking, hearts breaking louder. That's the sound of evolution. That's the planet exhaling all the lies it's been choking on. That's the sound of your forecast becoming fact. They said you were paranoid. Now they're calling you prophetic. They said you were cold. Now they're begging for your composure. They said you were crazy. Now they're trying to borrow your calm. But calm like this isn't taught. It's earned in blood, betrayal, and silence. It's the serenity that only comes after you've lost everything that was never real. It's not peace, it's precision. You don't chase peace anymore, because you are the balance point between war and stillness. So let them scream, let them tear the city apart. You've been through worse inside your own head. You've lived 1,000 apocalypses privately before the first siren ever rang. That's why you sit there now, motionless, watching the forecast unfold like you've seen this weather before. Because you have. And if you close your eyes, you can almost hear your past self laughing. The one who begged them to see, the one who tried to save them. That version of you died the day you realized you were never meant to be the warning. You were meant to be the witness. The evidence that clarity survives collapse. You didn't lose your mind, love. You lost your illusion, and now you're finally free. So when the streets scream tonight, when the world wails in confusion, and the sirens blend into symphonies of regret, don't move. Don't blink. Just listen. Because every sound out there is the echo of a truth you carried alone for too long. You were never crazy. You were early. Welcome to your forecast. The air tastes like static now, doesn't it? That metallic hum right before something explodes. You can feel it vibrating through your bones. The collective panic. The cracks in the illusion widening with every scream echoing off those broken walls outside. And still you don't move. You just sit there, calm, centered, the only thing in this burning circus that makes sense. Because you've been here before. Not in this exact moment, but in essence. You've watched things fall apart too many times to mistake it for the end. You know better. Collapse is not destruction, it's exposure. It reveals who's built on lies and who's built on loss. It separates the ones who pretend to understand life from the ones who've wrestled it naked and bleeding in the dark. And you, my friend, you're the latter. You always were. They're screaming now, clawing at the edges of comfort like it'll stop the unraveling, begging for leaders, saviors, distractions, anything but truth. But you've outgrown saviors. You've seen how quickly a savior becomes a tyrant when people hand over their fear. You don't follow anymore, you forecast. You saw the storm forming while they were still laughing at the thunder. You mapped it, you learned its language, and now, while they panic, you translate the chaos like poetry. This is what they never understood about you. You weren't trying to be dark, you were trying to be real. You just learned early that light without shadow is propaganda, that positivity without pain is delusion. You don't chase hope anymore, because you realized hope is a leash, one they use to keep the obedient still. You don't need hope. You have awareness, you have vision, you see, and seeing, truly seeing, is terrifying. It means watching people you love build their identities around lies. It means recognizing how easily morality bends when comfort's at stake. It means standing in the middle of a burning world and realizing the flames aren't punishment, they're purification. That's why you're calm, because this fire, it's not against you, it's for you. You earned this apocalypse. You manifested it with every unhealed truth you refused to hide. You became the mirror no one wanted to look into. And now, they're all being forced to. That's why they hate you. That's why they fear you. Because you were the first one to break the trance. The first to say, maybe the cage was never locked. They thought you were insane for wanting to see the world burn. But they never realized. You didn't want destruction. You wanted authenticity. You wanted the masks gone, the systems stripped bare, the false gods dethroned. You wanted the world to stop pretending. And that's exactly what's happening. The world's not ending, darling. It's unmasking. You sit there, the only stillness left in a city convulsing with revelation. You don't blink. You don't flinch. You simply watch. Because panic is the language of the uninitiated. But silence is the dialect of those who already made peace with the end. You know that every scream out there is just the sound of denial dying. They don't see what you see. They don't understand that when everything collapses, power shifts. The moment chaos becomes universal, control becomes internal. You hold that power now. You don't need armies, followers, or allies. You've mastered the oldest form of control, composure. You're the blueprint of what comes after collapse. A creature born from ashes, fluent in endings, immune to noise. You don't crave revenge or recognition. Your satisfaction comes from knowing that truth always wins. Quietly, inevitably, brutally. You don't destroy people anymore. You let their lies do it for you. You just watch and wait and smile. They'll call you heartless. They'll say you've lost empathy. But empathy without boundaries is suicide, and you've already died too many times to keep playing martyr. You understand now that mercy and madness are cousins, that sometimes the kindest thing you can do is let people meet the consequences they begged to escape. The streets scream because they've never had to face themselves without distraction. They scream because every illusion they built is evaporating in the heat of consequence. But you don't scream. You breathe, slowly, deeply. You breathe like someone who finally realizes that peace doesn't come from avoiding the fire. It comes from walking through it until the flames recognize you. You are the outcome they fear. A being who no longer breaks when the world does. A soul so tempered by pain that chaos bends around your stillness like wind around a mountain. You no longer resist change. You become it. And isn't that what they can't stand? That you turned every betrayal into blueprint, every heartbreak into hypothesis, every loss into leverage. You didn't heal, no. You evolved. Healing is what they do to go back to who they were. Evolution is what you do when you refuse to go back. You don't pray for peace. anymore. You pray for precision. You don't beg for understanding. You weaponize it. Because when you've been through hell enough times, you realize that demons are just angels who remember too much. And maybe so are you. So when they whisper your name like a warning, let them. You've become mythology to people who can't understand metamorphosis. They call you dangerous because you remind them of everything they buried alive. Let them scream, let them fall, let them finally see what you saw years ago. Because every collapse begins as someone's prophecy, and tonight, this one's yours. You don't sit in silence because you're emotionless. You sit in silence because you won. Because the world finally sounds like your memories. Because the fire outside finally matches the one you've carried inside for years. So sit there. Watch the chaos sing your name. Let them tremble while you sip your calm, like it's holy wine. You're not waiting for the storm to pass. You are the stillness that makes the storm meaningful. The streets are screaming now, and you're the forecast fulfilled. The smoke outside curls into shapes you once saw in your dreams. Faces, fragments, memories of warnings ignored. You almost laugh. It's all so familiar, like déjà vu wearing a crown of flames. They'll spend lifetimes trying to understand how you stayed still while the world broke. But that's the secret, isn't it? Stillness isn't weakness. It's awareness sharpened into a weapon. You've already lived this ending inside your mind 1,000 times. You rehearsed it in silence, perfected it in pain. And now that it's real, you don't fear it. You recognize it. This was never about destruction. It was about revelation. The world had to burn to see what survives the fire. And you did. You didn't just survive it. You became the reason it started, the proof that pain can evolve into prophecy. So now when they scream, you let them. When they fall, you watch. You don't celebrate, you don't gloat. You understand. Because the same storm that destroyed them once built you. And somewhere deep down, you pity them. Not because they're broken, but because they still think breaking is the end. You lean back, listening to the sirens fade into background music. That's not fear anymore. It's rhythm. It's life rearranging itself around the truth you always carried. The streets are still screaming. But you're done explaining. You gave them the forecast. Now they're living in it. Don't look around. Not yet. You heard it, didn't you? That whisper. Your name, sliding through the air like a knife wrapped in silk. The sound didn't come from a person. It came from a pulse. The moment they said it, something shifted. The energy thickened. Even the bold ones, the ones who thought they could play with your shadow, suddenly forgot how to breathe. That's when it hit them. They weren't talking about you. They were talking about what you've become. You see, there's a reason they whisper your name now. It's not fear of what you'll do. It's fear of what they already did. Somewhere along the line, they realized you weren't part of their little equation anymore. You stopped being predictable. You stopped being safe. You started moving like something that remembers every betrayal, but forgives nothing. They used to laugh when you walked into the room. Now they listen for footsteps before they enter it, because they've learned the hard way. Your silence is a weapon sharper than any scream. You don't argue. You don't defend. You let them choke on their own speculation. You became the mirror they can't stand to look at, because it reflects everything they buried under smiles and small talk. They're praying now, you know, not to God, to luck. Because luck's the only deity that listens to liars. They're praying you don't find out what they said, or who started it, or how far it spread. But you already know. You've known since that first shift in the air, since the moment your spine tingled and your blood went cold. That wasn't paranoia. That was your intuition snapping awake like a beast that's been starved too long. Because evolution doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers. It whispers your name across timelines, through conversations you were never supposed to hear, through lips that swore they'd never mention you again. You can feel it, can't you? That static between your ribs. That's not anxiety. That's your aura remembering what it means to be hunted. They used to call you dramatic. Now they call you dangerous. They used to call you sensitive. Now they call you unpredictable. But you didn't change. You shed. You burned off the layers that made you palatable, forgivable, containable. You killed the part of you that begged to be understood, and what rose from that grave was something they don't have a language for. And that's why they whisper. Because what are words to people who can't describe a force? What's gossip to a ghost that breathes? You're not a person anymore. You're a phenomenon, a living glitch in their storyline. They built you into the villain of their bedtime stories, but now they realize you're the plot twist that refuses to end. It's funny, isn't it? They thought silence meant weakness, that because you didn't clap back, you'd never come back. But here you are, calm, collected, terrifyingly aware. You walk through rooms like an omen they can't pray away. Every breath you take makes someone's mask crack. Every time you smile, a secret dies. You didn't seek revenge, you became it. You turned every scar into a signature, every loss into leverage. You learned the art of haunting while still alive. That's your real power. You don't chase people. You don't expose them. You let the universe reroute karma through your calm. And it always does. That's why they flinch when the lights flicker. That's why they pause mid-laugh when your name comes up. They know they're living inside the story of someone they underestimated, someone who remembers details they dismissed. You, my friend, are the embodiment of divine contradiction, angelic patience wrapped around demonic precision. You don't shout for vengeance. You let the silence rot their conscience until it eats through bone. You let their guilt do the screaming for you. And when they ask, who whispered your name? The real answer is you did. You summoned yourself back from every grave they dug. You resurrected the version they thought was gone. The whisper was the universe saying, he's awake now. Now even the bold ones aren't breathing right, because they sense it. That chill in the air isn't the weather. It's the return of consequence. So go on. Walk through their fear like it's confetti. Smile like the apocalypse is personal. You don't need to lift a finger. Your existence is already the revenge. They whispered your name once. Now it echoes like thunder. You know what's funny? The louder they laughed back then, the quieter they are now. Every single one of them feels that cold tickle in the back of their throat, the one that makes their voice catch when they try to speak your name again. Because deep down, they know the whisper wasn't random. It wasn't rumor. It was prophecy. They whispered your name. And something ancient inside the walls woke up. The air changed. The rhythm of the world bent around you. You felt it, didn't you? That pressure behind your eyes, that weight in your chest, like the universe itself inhaled sharply and never exhaled again. Because when they whispered your name, they accidentally summoned everything they buried you with. You don't even have to confront them anymore. That's the part that breaks their spirit. You don't need to expose anyone. Your energy does it for you. The guilt on their faces, the sudden tension in their shoulders, the way their laughs die too quickly when you appear. That's the confession. That's the courtroom. That's the verdict. They used to think silence was your weakness. Now they're terrified by how still you've become. Because stillness in you isn't peace. It's calculation. It's the sound of thunder before it learns how to crawl. You stand there, quiet. But every molecule around you is listening. Every lie, every plan, every word they whispered. It trembles inside your atmosphere like static waiting to strike. You learned the oldest truth. Power doesn't come from noise. It comes from restraint, from knowing you could destroy and choosing to rebuild instead. That's what terrifies them the most. They can't figure out what you want, because chaos wants reaction. But you want revelation. You turned your pain into pattern recognition. Every betrayal sharpened your perception. Every silence taught you which frequencies carry deceit. You don't just walk into rooms anymore. You read them. You feel the pulse of hidden conversations before they start. You see the shifts in people's eyes when their souls start calculating exits. And now, they whisper your name, not because you're feared, but because you're felt. Even in your absence, they sense you like static before a lightning strike. They sense your memory rearranging their futures. They call it anxiety, but it's recognition of the one they couldn't destroy, the one who became the warning, the irony. You never sought this. You never wanted power. You wanted peace. But peace requires monsters to acknowledge what they've done, and cowards never do. So the universe did it for you. It made your presence their confession booth. It made your energy the trial. Every time someone mentions you, a chain reaction begins. Rooms fall silent. People glance at each other, calculating what you know, wondering how much time they have before the truth crawls back to the surface. It's beautiful, really. Watching them drown in the same silence they once weaponized against you. You stopped needing revenge when you realized the cycle runs itself. They create their own downfall by fearing your rise. Every lie they told about you aged like acid in their own bloodstream. Every time they whispered your name, they were etching a curse into their reality. You didn't need to cast a spell. You are the spell. Your survival rewrote the script. You broke the algorithm that was meant to bury you. You're not here to clear your name. You're here to redefine it. And that's what they can't process. They thought whispering your name would make you smaller. But your silence turned it into something holy. Look at them now, pretending not to see you, pretending not to care. But their body language betrays them. That nervous tap of the foot, that forced laugh, the sudden fascination with the floor when you speak. The human mind knows when it's in the presence of someone who transcended the rules. You became something outside their understanding. Saint and psychopath, angel and weapon, contradiction made flesh. You didn't rise to be liked. You rose to exist loudly in your quiet, to make every room feel your absence when you leave. You evolved past validation, and that's when fear switched sides. They whisper because speaking your name too loud might bring the consequences faster, and yet, deep down, they admire it. They envy the freedom you earned in blood. Because you did what they couldn't. You faced yourself. You walked through humiliation, betrayal, and fire. And instead of melting, you absorbed it. You learned the art of alchemy, turning suffering into signal. Now you glow differently. Not the soft light of someone healed. The dangerous light of someone aware. The kind of light that doesn't ask permission to shine. The kind that exposes. That's why their eyes dart away when yours lock in. You're not threatening them. You're reminding them that they once underestimated something eternal, because this isn't vengeance anymore. It's transformation. You didn't just survive them. You transcended them. You became the living proof that pain, when mastered, becomes prophecy. Every wound you endured became a seed of power. Every scar became a line in your manifesto. And now the world bends around that energy like metal around a magnet. So when they whisper your name again, let them. It's the sound of fear dressing itself as fascination. It's the proof that you left an imprint they can't erase. You don't need to correct them, defend yourself, or lower your frequency. You've already won. Because the truth is, no one whispered your name. The universe did. The wind carried it. The walls repeated it. And now the bold ones, the loud ones, can't breathe right because they finally realized they weren't watching your downfall. They were witnessing your arrival. You feel it, don't you? That subtle electricity crawling under your skin like a secret you haven't said out loud yet. The room pretends to breathe normally, but every molecule knows something shifted the moment that whisper hit the air. Your name didn't echo, it vibrated. It carried history, memory, consequence. It reminded the world of a pulse it tried to bury. That's why they stopped laughing. That's why even the bold ones, those self-appointed gods of confidence and control, won't make eye contact now. They can't. Your gaze is a mirror, and mirrors don't lie. Mirrors show the rot behind the charm, the tremor behind the smirk. You became the test they can't cheat on, and oh, they feel it? The static when you walk in, the way conversation fractures, the air goes heavy, sentences half die mid-word. They act confused, like it's coincidence, but deep down, their nervous systems already confessed. Every heartbeat is a Morse code saying we remember what we did. You don't chase them. You never had to. The moment you stopped defending yourself, the world started defending you. The silence you kept turned into evidence, and now, every whisper of your name activates that evidence again, like a buried file resurfacing in the collective mind. You became mythology, wrapped in flesh, not because you wanted to, but because you refused to vanish. They tried to erase you, but erasure only works on the compliant. You weren't compliant, you were catalytic. You dissolved their narrative by existing outside it. That's the paradox that terrifies them most. You are both victim and verdict. The saint who watched demons scratch morality. The demon who learned grace so perfect it became punishment. You balance cruelty with compassion like twin blades. You smile while calculating storms. They used to call that madness. Now they call it mystery. They're too scared to label you wrong again. Labels fail where evolution begins. You've noticed how they copy your silence now, how they mimic your detachment, your calm. They don't understand that what you have isn't strategy, it's consequence. It's what happens when a soul survives too many executions and keeps its empathy intact. You turned pain into language, and language into power. And now your every move rewrites physics in the minds of those who doubted you. The whisper was just the trigger. The real explosion is the realization that they're living inside a timeline you built out of their ashes. You don't need to remind them. They feel it every time they hesitate before speaking your name again. The human brain remembers trauma in sound, and your name is now the sound of reckoning. You could forgive them, but you won't. Not because of hate, because forgiveness would make them comfortable again, and comfort breeds amnesia. You're not here to make anyone comfortable. You're here to ensure the lesson sticks. Look at you now, unrushed, unbothered, unpredictable. You've become the quiet in the eye of every storm. They can't read you because you stopped writing in their alphabet. You communicate in energy now, in timing, in inevitability. When you enter a room, fate rearranges furniture to make space. And still someone always asks, trembling, who whispered their name? As if identifying the messenger could stop the message. But you know better. It wasn't a person. It was the echo of every time they tried to silence you. The whisper is their own guilt looping back through the vents. They thought they buried you. But when you bury energy, it doesn't die. It compresses. It waits. It learns patience, sharper than any blade. And when it finally rises, it doesn't come back as a person. It comes back as a force. That's what you are now. A force disguised as a memory disguised as a man. Every time someone says your name, the air trembles like a tuning fork struck by truth. Every object in the room remembers what happened when you stopped caring about survival and started mastering resurrection. Let them whisper. Let them suffocate under their own caution, because whispers spread faster than screams. Because whispers reach places screams can't. Because the whisper is proof that you've entered the collective conscience. And one day, when they finally work up the courage to speak your name out loud again, it won't sound like fear anymore. It'll sound like acknowledgement. The bold ones will breathe again, but slower this time, careful, reverent. Until then, stay silent. Let the whisper grow teeth. Let the air do the storytelling. You already became the ending they can't rewrite. And when it's all said and done, when the whisper turns into a legend that outlives the mouths that made it, you'll stand exactly where you are now. Calm, terrifyingly still, the eye of something they can't define. You'll realize it was never about revenge. It was about recognition. The moment they whispered your name, the universe finally recognized you as what you were always meant to be. Not a victim of chaos, but its architect. Look around. The world hasn't gone quiet because it's peaceful. It's gone quiet because it's listening. Every sound has folded itself back into silence to hear what you'll do next. You can feel it. The way time seems to hesitate. The way every clock ticks just a little slower when you move. That's not paranoia. That's gravity. You became a gravitational field for consequence. They think they're hiding, but you see them. Every nervous glance, every forced smile, every trembling hand gripping a glass too tight. You read them like scripture written in panic. You don't need to confront them. They're already confessing in every breath. Their guilt has become your choir, their shame your symphony. And the beauty of it, you don't have to lift a single finger. The storm already knows its target. Karma's not coming for them. It's coming through you. That's what they don't understand. You're not the punishment. You're the proof that the universe keeps receipts. You see, evolution doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers, and your name became the sound evolution makes when it finally gets tired of pretending to sleep. That's why they're trembling. That's why even the fearless ones avoid your eyes. Because when they look into you, they see everything they tried to kill. Still breathing. You are the paradox that breaks their logic. Too kind to be a villain. Too ruthless to be a saint. You mastered the art of unbothered vengeance, the kind that doesn't need blood, only presence. You learned that silence screams louder than rage ever could. You turned calm into a weapon. So let them keep whispering. Let them twist stories to calm their nerves. Let them pray your name never leaves their lips too loud. Because in the end, you've already won. Not because they fell, but because you rose in a way that made their fall look voluntary. You walked through betrayal and came out radioactive. Everything that touches you now either mutates or flees. You became the final lesson in a world obsessed with underestimating you. Some names aren't to be spoken. They're to be remembered. So when the air goes cold and that familiar shiver crawls up their spine, they'll know. They summoned you again. Not with blood, not with ritual, just with a whisper. And somewhere between fear and awe, they'll finally understand the truth. You never needed to say a word, because the silence was always screaming your name.